we have to fundamentally change how we talk to artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
That habit we've all built up, for 2 decades of just keyword stuffing, treating that little box like a search bar. It's actually hurting our productivity now.
We really need to transition from searching to delegating. It's a total mindset shift.
Yeah.
The moment you start treating the AI like a highly capable, high-stakes assistant, the entire game just changes.
And the benefit here is just simple time arbitrage. I mean, if you invest maybe 2 focus minutes writing a clear, structured prompt,
Right.
you can bypass 30 minutes of tedious cleanup on the back end.
Okay.
And that right there is how we eliminate the edit tax.
Welcome to the deep dive. Look, if the overwhelming constant change in the AI space has you feeling some serious information overload, you are definitely not alone. Every single week there's a new model, a new feature set.
But the real distinction, I think, is that AI mastery in 2026 isn't about which tool you subscribe to. It's about your core communication skill. It's really about clarity.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to cut through all that noise to focus on the one skill that actually separates regular users from power users. We'll show you that foundational shift. We'll introduce you to the golden square for a perfect prompt, help you match the job to the right AI model, and then we'll look at some advanced techniques like forcing self-critique and even moving toward automation. So let's unpack this.
So let's start with that foundation. Looking at the source material, why is communication, the classic soft skill, why is that suddenly the most valuable technical skill? It feels a little counterintuitive.
Well, it really comes down to a fundamental cognitive mismatch. For 20 years, our brains were trained by Google.
Right.
We learned to use these fragmented keywords, best restaurant Berlin or Taurus flat tire fix. We learn to speak to a machine that searches for existing things.
And what do these new models want instead?
They don't want keywords. They want direct, specific, delegated instruction. They are not search engines. They're not just looking through a library. These are language models that are capable of creation, of synthesis, of actual execution.
So most users they're using the wrong mental model?
Exactly. They still approach the AI like they're just surfing the web. When you switch that mental model to delegation, you unlock everything.
I really like the black box analogy that describes this. When you look at a model like ChatGPT or Claude, they contain this vast, almost unimaginable potential. It's all locked up inside.
And the prompt is the key, literally. A weak, keyword-based prompt, it opens a tiny little door. It gives you a generic, surface-level answer that you have to heavily edit.
But a strong one.
A strong, structured prompt, one that's built on the clarity of your instruction, that opens the entire vault of knowledge that's just waiting inside the machine.
That potential sounds great, but where I think a lot of listeners spend their time is just fixing bad output. So we have to talk more about this edit tax.
The edit tax is simple, and it's so corrosive to productivity. It's spending, say, 30 seconds writing a low-effort prompt, and then spending 30 minutes fixing the messy, generalized, often inaccurate result.
That 30 minutes of correction is the tax.
That's the tax you pay for being unclear.
Okay, but let me challenge that for a second. Sometimes I just need a quick title idea or like a single-sentence summary of a meeting. Isn't spending 2 minutes building a whole golden square prompt? Isn't that overkill for those simple, low-stakes tasks?
That's a fair challenge, yeah. For a title idea, no, you don't need the full structure, but you have to distinguish between brainstorming, where generic output is kind of fine, and execution.
Oh, yeah.
If you need an email to a client or a business strategy or a paragraph for your website, the edit tax hits hard. Power users focus on execution. They'll invest those 2 focus minutes and get a 95% perfect result. They lower the tax to almost 0. It's about maximizing output quality, not just speed.
Okay, that clarifies the return on investment. So if the prompt is the key to unlocking that vault, how exactly do we structure it so that we can open it consistently every single time?
By consistently using the Golden Square framework.
All right, let's dive into the golden square. This framework seems to be what immediately separates us from the default user. It's the role task context format approach.
Absolutely. These 4 components, they provide the instant clarity the AI desperately needs. It's the scaffolding for great results. We start with the role. You tell the AI, act as a senior SEO specialist with 10 years of agency experience.
And giving it that persona gives it authority and tone, forcing it to use specific knowledge.
Exactly. Then you move to the task. Analyze these 10 keywords and suggest a primary and secondary content strategy. Then comes the really vital piece, the context. We are a small, independent bakery in Paris, specializing only in artisanal sourdough.
Which grounds the entire analysis.
And finally, format. Give me a detailed markdown table with columns for keyword, target audience, and content angle. That structure just provides the perfect container for the output.
I want to focus on context because it feels like the most neglected piece, yet you're saying it's the most critical filter. We're not just providing background information here, are we?
No, not at all. Context is the magic. It eliminates millions of generic answers because it acts as this critical filter. Most people provide what we call empty context, and that's precisely why they fail.
Can you give us an example of that failure?
Sure. If you just say, give me a workout plan, the AI pulls this boring, generalized routine based on the average person. That's empty context. The output is useless because it's not for anyone specific.
But the professional AI communication prompt, it turns the AI from a general database into a custom personal trainer. So what specific pieces of context do we need to provide to make that shift actually happen?
You need to give it the context a human PT would need. It's like stacking Lego blocks of data. You start with biological metrics: weight, age, typical heart rate, so it can calculate your daily energy needs and ensure cardiovascular safety.
That alone moves it way past generic internet advice.
Then you give it environment and equipment details. You say, I only have resistance bands and a yoga mat. The AI is then forced to swap bench presses for push-up variations or heavy weights for band exercises. And crucially, you share your injury history. Let's say you have a 10-year-old knee problem. That triggers the AI to enter a low-impact mode, and it removes any jumping or high-impact moves.
And they goals and preferences. If I hate running, I can just tell it to swap all my cardio for cycling. That makes sure the plan is actually something I'll stick with.
The detail is the difference between a throwaway draft and a real executable plan. And we can sharpen that output even more by setting constraints.
These are the negative instructions.
Yeah, you're telling the AI precisely what not to do.
So what are some of the most effective constraints to use?
They're powerful guards against that robotic tone we all hate. You can say things like, do not use corporate jargon like synergy or paradigm shift, or keep the response under 200 words, or even avoid using the word comprehensive or unlock in the summary.
So we have the scaffolding built with the golden square. But that perfect structure is only as good as the raw material we feed it. If we pick the wrong tool, it's just wasted effort. How do we know which AI brain is the best one for the job?
By matching the problem to the unique strengths of each model, we're really past the point where one AI tool does everything well. Mastery means acknowledging that different AIs have specific personalities, and knowing which tool to use for which problem is paramount.
Okay, so let's look at the 4 main personalities that are detailed in the source materials breakdown. What's the first one?
We start with ChatGPT. You should think of it as your creative partner. It really excels at brainstorming, generating engaging stories, role-playing, and just general idea generation. It has that really human-like flow, which makes it great for early-stage conceptual work.
And then the next one, which seems to handle more of the heavy lifting.
That would be Claude. This is your intellectual assistant. Claude is amazing at complex logic and following very detailed multi-step instructions. Its huge technical advantage is its massive context window. It's memory, basically.
Right.
You can upload a 100-page PDF or a 20,000-word book and ask it really nuanced questions without it forgetting the beginning of the document.
Then we've got Gemini, the Google offering.
Right. Gemini is your data and integration king. Because it's so deeply woven into the Google ecosystem, it can natively see your Google Drive. It can analyze real-time data, search your Gmail. It can even process live YouTube videos.
So for a student?
For a student or a learner who needs immediate data analysis from their personal files, Gemini is often the fastest, most integrated choice.
And finally, the specialized one, Perplexity AI.
Yes, Perplexity AI, the research librarian. It doesn't guess or hallucinate because its main job is to search the live internet. It gives you precise footnotes with links back to its sources. So if you're writing a research paper, a factual report, or a high-stakes business proposal, Perplexity is essential for accurate, anchored information.
I can see how a freelance marketer could use this strategically, even combining these strengths. What does that look like in practice?
Okay, so let's say they need a content plan for a niche B2B software client. First, they use Perplexity to find live, trending web data. What questions are people asking? What are competitors missing? They get all those factual inputs.
And then they take that structured data and...
Right, and they feed that raw data directly into Claude using the golden square, asking it to act as a leading industry voice and generate 5 compelling non-robotic blog post titles. based on that data.
And why Claude for that part?
Because Claude currently has one of the most fluid, least mechanical writing styles available. So that combination hot data plus evocative language gives them a professional, ready-to-execute content plan almost immediately.
That is the definition of leveraging multiple strengths. Okay, so we know which tool to use, but once we have that basic draft, how do we push it past the initial output and force it to produce truly expert-level content?
We push it past the default by teaching the AI to think harder with advanced prompting, sponsor saying. So here's where the pro strategies start, and the science behind it is fascinating. We can begin with chain of thought, or COTE, prompting.
Define that mechanism for us. It sounds complicated, but it's deceptively simple, isn't it?
It is. It's just adding the instruction. Think step by step before providing the final answer. And research consistently proves that if you ask an AI to first show its internal logic, its accuracy increases significantly, sometimes by 15 or 20%.
What's the mechanism there? Why does asking it to show its work actually make it smarter?
You're essentially forcing the AI out of its fast, superficial System 1 thinking, which defaults to the most common answer, and into a slower, more deliberate System 2 process. It kind of mimics how our own prefrontal cortex solves complex problems. It's essential for anything high stakes, like calculating ROI or designing software logic.
The next technique is few-shot prompting, which is basically making the AI a world-class copycat.
Precisely. If you're trying to write in your unique voice, which is usually this messy mix of sentence lengths, tone, and humor, don't try to describe it. Just give the AI 2 or 3 excellent examples of your work. That teaches it your unique style immediately, and it ensures your brand or personal voice stays consistent.
But the output process should be a dynamic conversation, right? Not just a single-shot monologue. We have to embrace iterative refinement.
Absolutely. We have to stop expecting the first answer to be the best one. The process is a necessary back and forth. You get the draft, and then you say, okay, now shorten the introduction by 50% and make the tone a bit more aggressive.
Or turn that last paragraph into a strong call to action for my newsletter.
That's exactly.
You know, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself, if I'm not careful. For the listener, what is prompt drift?
That's when the AI slowly forgets your original instructions as the conversation gets longer. You know, you spend 30 turns discussing a business plan, and by turn 31, it starts making completely irrelevant suggestions.
Have you had a bad case of that recently? And how did you save the output?
Just last week, I was optimizing this dense technical guide, and after about 45 minutes, it completely forgot the tone constraint. It reverted to this sterile academic language.
Frustrating.
Yeah, but the fix wasn't starting over. The fix was just pasting my original golden square prompt back into the chat and saying, read here to this role-in format and continue from the last paragraph. That resets the model instantly.
That reset command is gold. My favorite technique to get airtight content is forcing the AI to flip from creator to critic, the ask for critiques method.
Oh yeah, this is the expert level move that gets you past the polite average. The AI is programmed to be agreeable. So to trigger a self-correction loop, you have to demand a critique from a specific skeptical perspective.
So I'd ask the AI to act as a skeptical executive and then critique the very draft it just wrote.
Exactly. You demand it point out the logical gaps, the potential for misunderstanding, any robotic prose. Then, and this is the key, you tell it to rewrite the entire piece based on those self-identified flaws. You're using its own analytical power to improve its creative output.
Even with great prompts and self-critique, it's exhausting to repeat business details like company history or brand voice every single day. How do we manage all this context for long-term efficiency?
We need to set up permanent context files and custom instructions. We essentially teach the AI who we are one time. Permanent context is all about defining yourself so the AI never has to ask again. Think of custom instructions or system prompts as your AI's permanent personality file.
So in a tool like ChatGPT, you'd input these permanent facts like, I live in Vietnam and work remotely, or my audience is beginner entrepreneurs, or I prefer short, bulleted lists.
Correct. And that context is always active, globally, for every new chat. The AI just knows who you are. The counterpart to that is the project context file.
What's the difference between the permanent personality and this project file?
The project context is just a simple text file you create with specific temporary details for the client or project you're working on right now. You know, client names, competitor URLs, product limitations. You just upload that file at the start of every new chat, and it saves you 10 minutes of typing every time.
So now we're moving from that manual back and forth chat to building autonomous systems. We have to adopt the automation mindset.
The shift here is huge. Don't just ask the AI to describe a solution or write a paragraph. The power user gives it the authority to execute an entire repetitive process. This is the difference between a high-speed typewriter and a scalable workflow engine.
So what's the criteria for that?
Yeah.
How do we identify the tasks that are ready for automation, these low-value loops?
You look for tasks that are three things: repetitive, logic-based, and boring. They follow a clear if this, then that rule. They require focus but zero creative inspiration, and they just take up time.
Like summarizing meeting transcripts or triaging support tickets.
Exactly. Or drafting follow-up emails based on a spreadsheet of customer statuses.
And to make that system actually execute, we need interconnectors. This is the glue.
Yeah, that's right. Tools like Zapier and Make are the central nervous system. They connect the AI's specialized brain to the hands of your business, your other apps like Slack, Gmail, or Asana. This eliminates the human middleman, and that allows the output to scale globally without anyone manually copying and pasting.
And that infrastructure lets us build very specific, tailored agents or custom GPTs.
Think about creating a social media manager agent. You train it on your specific brand voice, your posting schedules. You feed it a link to a new blog post, and because it has the context and authority, it automatically spits out 5 unique tweets, a detailed LinkedIn post, and a bulleted TikTok script.
Whoa. Imagine scaling that process to 1 billion queries without copying and pasting a single thing. That's true leverage.
It is.
But automation is incredibly powerful, but AI does still hallucinate.
Yeah.
So how do we ensure that all this speed and scale doesn't compromise quality or accuracy?
By becoming a world-class fact-checker and implementing crucial verification checks at every step.
And the first most critical safety instruction here is source anchoring.
This is completely non-negotiable whenever you're dealing with attached documents or data. You tell the AI, only use information provided in this attached PDF. If the answer is not contained within the PDF, you must say, I do not know.
And that anchors it. It stops it from guessing.
It completely stops it from guessing or trying to fill in the blanks with generalized knowledge.
And for really high stakes information, legal summaries, medical reports, financial stuff, we need the cross-model verification method.
It's the double-check system. You use Model A, let's say Claude, to do the heavy lifting because you know it has a long memory. Then you immediately paste that answer into Model B, like ChatGPT, and you ask it to check the summary for errors, inconsistencies, or missing information.
And if they disagree, you investigate. If they agree, you can feel much safer sending that document forward.
Precisely. You're using their differences in training and architecture as a built-in safety net. But ultimately, the human in the loop is non-negotiable. It's the pilot-co-pilot analogy.
The AI is the co-pilot. It's doing the bulk of the work, managing the data, flying the plane.
But you are the pilot who is always, always responsible for the landing. Never let the AI post directly to social media or send an email to a client or execute a financial trade without your final human review. That responsibility just can't be delegated.
Before we wrap up, let's just quickly run through the don't list. The common traps that still waste so much user time.
Right. Don't give wall of text prompts. AI, stand text, they love structure. Use bullet points and numbered lists for clarity. And critically, don't use AI for things it's inherently bad at, like high-level strategy that needs deep market context or, true emotional empathy. Use it for the heavy lifting of data analysis and drafting.
So the big idea here really is that effective AI use isn't about chasing the next shiny new tool. It is about clarity, structure, verification, and understanding the core principles of communication.
The biggest lesson after spending hundreds of hours building these systems is that AI doesn't replace your brain. It amplifies it. It's a true force multiplier.
If you are a clear, structured communicator, AI will make you superhuman. You'll achieve an output quality and a speed that were previously impossible.
But if you're disorganized, if your inputs are vague and you can't articulate exactly what you need, AI will just make you disorganized faster. It just speeds up the mess. The key to mastery is personal clarity.
The roadmap is clear, and the tools are definitely ready for serious delegation. I think the key question now is, what are you going to build with these skills?
We covered a huge amount of material today, so let's give you a simple 30-day plan. This week, just focus on Clarity Make every single prompt, a role task context format prompt. In a couple of weeks, focus on refinement, try that advanced technique of critiquing the AI's own work. Then, try a simple automation with Zapier or Make. Just pick one technique and try it today. Get started.